The wind howled across the golden fields of Willow Creek, Montana, carrying the faint scent of hay and the distant bark of a dog. In the heart of the valley, a lone woman stood on the porch of a weathered farmhouse, her silhouette framed against the setting sun. Her name was Sarah Kane, a single mother who traded the chaos of war for the quiet of this rural life. But tonight, something was wrong. Headlights pierced the dusk, creeping closer. 3 trucks, their engines growling like predators. Sarah's hand tightened around the porch railing. She didn't know it yet, but these intruders were about to awaken a side of her she'd buried long ago. Hey, if you're new here and love stories that grip your heart and keep you on the edge of your seat, hit that subscribe button right now and join our community for more epic tales like this one. Sarah Kane was no stranger to danger, but she'd chosen this farm to escape it. 5 years ago, she'd left the U.S. Army Special Forces, Green Beret, elite sniper, a ghost in the shadows of battlefields from Kandahar to Mosul. She'd seen things that haunted her dreams, carried scars both visible and hidden. Now, all she wanted was peace for herself and her 9-year-old daughter, Lily. The farm was their sanctuary, a sprawling 50 acres of wheat and barley, a small barn for their 2 horses, and a vegetable garden Lily tended with pride. They were a team, just the 2 of them, after Sarah's husband died in a car accident 3 years prior. The townsfolk of Willow Creek knew her as the quiet widow who kept to herself, always polite but distant, her gray eyes carrying a weight no one could quite place. But not everyone in Willow Creek was kind. The trouble started 3 months ago, when a local crew of troublemakers, led by a man named Travis Boone, set their sights on Sarah's land. Travis was the kind of man who thrived on power, a former high school football star turned small-time real estate hustler. He'd been buying up struggling farms across the county, pressuring owners to sell cheap or face consequences. Most folks caved. Travis had a reputation for making life hell if you didn't. His crew, 4 men in their late 20s, all loyal to him like dogs to a master, had been spotted slashing tires, poisoning livestock, and sprayed painting threats on barns. The sheriff, a tired man nearing retirement, turned a blind eye, too afraid or too lazy to cross Travis. Rumor had it Travis's uncle was a county commissioner, pulling strings from the shadows. Sarah's farm was the last holdout. She'd inherited it from her late husband, and it was more than land. It was a promise to Lily, a place to build a future. Travis wanted it for a fraction of its worth, claiming he'd turn it into a luxury hunting lodge for rich city folks. Sarah had said no, her voice calm but firm, the first time he showed up at her gate with a greasy smile and a lowball offer. That's when the harassment began. At first it was small, missing fence posts, a broken water pump. Then it escalated. Last week, someone had poisoned her chickens, leaving Lily in tears as they buried the birds. Sarah's patience was wearing thin, but she didn't want trouble. Not yet. Tonight, though, the trucks pulling in her driveway weren't here to talk. Sarah watched as they parked in a semicircle, their headlights blinding her. She sent Lily to her room with a whispered, "Stay quiet, baby. Everything's gonna be fine." The girl nodded, clutching her stuffed rabbit, her wide eyes trusting her mother completely. Sarah stepped back inside, grabbed her old hunting rifle from the closet. Not her military gear, just a civilian, 308 she kept for coyotes, and walked back to the porch. Her heart was steady, her breathing slow, the way it used to be before a mission. She wasn't afraid, but something inside her was waking up. Travis stepped out of the lead truck, his boots crunching on the gravel. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a smirk that made your skin crawl. His crew followed. Jake, a wary guy with a shaved head, Cody, a hulking figure who always carried a crowbar, and the twins, Matt and Mark, who laughed too loud and followed Travis like shadows. They were armed, not with guns but with bats and pipes, their faces lit with the kind of glee that comes from knowing you outnumber your prey. "Evening, Sarah," Travis called, his voice dripping with mock politeness. "Thought we'd drop by." "Time's up. You're going to sign those papers or we're going to make things real unpleasant." Sarah stood her ground, the rifle resting casually in her arms, not raised but ready. "Get off my land, Travis," she said, her voice low, almost a growl. The men laughed, exchanging glances like they'd expected this. Travis took a step closer, his smirk widening. "You think you're tough, huh? A single mom playing farmer. You're out of your league, sweetheart. This is my county." He nodded to Cody, who hefted his crowbar and started toward the barn, where Sarah's horses were stabled. "Let's start with your pretty little ponies," Travis said. "Then maybe we'll visit that kid of yours." That was the line. Sarah's eyes narrowed, and something shifted inside her. The farm, the quiet life, the promise to Lily, it all flashed before her. But so did the deserts of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, the moments when she'd stared through a scope and made decisions that ended lives. She wasn't just a mother. She wasn't just a farmer. She was a warrior, and these men had no idea who they were dealing with. "Last warning," Sarah said, her voice cutting through the night like a blade. The men froze, sensing something in her tone they hadn't expected. Travis laughed, but it was forced now, less certain. "You gonna shoot us all, Sarah? You don't have the guts." He gestured to his crew, and they spread out, circling the house like wolves. Sarah didn't move. She didn't need to. Years of training had taught her to read a battlefield, to know when to wait and when to strike. She let them think they had the upper hand. Cody reached the barn first, raising his crowbar to smash the lock. That's when Sarah moved. In one fluid motion, she raised the rifle, aimed not at Cody but at the ground near his feet, and fired. The shot cracked like thunder, kicking up dirt an inch from his boot. Cody yelped, stumbling back, his crowbar clattering to the ground. The others froze, their bravado evaporating. "Next one's in your knee," Sarah said, her voice calm but deadly. "Jet. Off my land." Travis's face twisted with rage. "You crazy bitch." He spat, but he didn't move closer. He wasn't stupid. He'd seen the precision of that shot, the way the bullet hit exactly where she wanted. This wasn't a scared mom with a gun. This was something else. "You're gonna regret this," he growled, backing toward his truck. His crew followed, their confidence shaken. As they peeled out, tires spitting gravel, Travis leaned out his window and shouted, "This ain't over, Sarah!" "You're done." Sarah stood on the porch until the taillights vanished, her heart pounding but her hands steady. She checked on Lily, who was curled up in her room, safe but shaken. "Mom, are they gone?" the girl whispered. Sarah knelt beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "For now, baby," she said. "For now." But Sarah knew Travis wouldn't stop. Men like him never did. And deep down, a part of her, the part she tried to bury, was ready for what came next. The next morning, Willow Creek buzzed with gossip. Word of the confrontation spread, twisted and exaggerated, as small-town stories do. Some folks called Sarah reckless, others brave. A few older farmers, who'd lost their own land to Travis's schemes, started whispering about fighting back. But Sarah didn't care about the rumors. She had work to do. She spent the day fortifying the farm, checking fences, installing motion sensor lights, and moving her horses to a neighbor's barn for safety. She didn't want a war, but she was preparing for one. That night, she sat at the kitchen table, cleaning her rifle, her mind racing. She hadn't wanted to touch her old gear, the tools of her past life, but Travis was forcing her hand. In a locked chest under her bed was a case she hadn't opened in years. A custom-built sniper rifle, a suppressor, night vision optics, and a set of knives she'd once used in missions she'd never speak of. She told herself she'd left that life behind, but now, with Lily asleep upstairs, she wondered if that life had ever truly left her. The attacks escalated over the next week. One night, someone cut her water line, flooding the fields. Another, they burned a crude message into her front lawn, SELOR. Lily was scared to go to school, afraid the men would come back. Sarah kept her home, teaching her math and reading in the kitchen, trying to keep things normal. But normal was gone. The townsfolk were too afraid to help, and the sheriff dismissed her complaints, saying, "No proof, no crime." Sarah knew she was alone, and that was fine. She'd been alone before. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a moonless Friday, the air thick with the promise of rain. Sarah had sent Lily to stay with a trusted friend in town. Sensing trouble was coming, she was right. At midnight, her motion sensors pinned, and she saw them on the security camera she'd installed. 5 figures this time, moving through the fields toward the house. Travis had brought a new guy, someone Sarah didn't recognize, a hulking figure with a rifle slung over his shoulder. They weren't here to scare her anymore. They were here to end it. Sarah slipped into the attic, where she'd set up a vantage point days earlier. The sniper in her had never really gone away. She'd just been dormant, waiting. She opened the chest, assembled her rifle in under a minute, and attached the suppressor. Through the night vision scope, she watched them approach, their movements sloppy, overconfident. Travis was in the lead, carrying a gas can, likely planning to burn the house. The new guy, the one with the rifle, hung back,